Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey Hearties, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host Nicole, joined once again by my wonderful co-host Theresa to chat about When Calls the Heart, season 11. Episode 10, What Goes Around. It was written by Elizabeth Stewart and directed by Siobhan Devine. Allie makes a daring decision, and Nathan and Elizabeth rush to intervene. Uncovered memories shift Lucas's plans. Faith takes a big step. May cooks for Hickham's family. What were your hot takes on this episode?
I would say that this episode had the best acting of the season. I think the performances were really solid. I think there were certain things I was a little about, but I really loved the scenes between Nathan and Allie. And I loved the scenes between Lucas and Janette. Those were two big takeaways for me in this episode.
Yes, I'd say the acting was fantastic and the best of the season next to episode 6 with Higgins.
Yes. Episode 6 is still my favorite, but I think that the acting in this required maybe a little bit more than episode 6.
Yes.
But that being said, I still love episode 6 the best.
Yes. Of course, the acting has been great all season, but just those two episodes stand out the most.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. But I think it was great. And why don't we just get into it and start with Faith and Lily. And they had that sweet scene at the beginning when Joseph and Minnie are there. Of course, it's at the cafe, and Dora will be there the following day. And Lily wants to go to the infirmary instead of daycare. She doesn't want to leave Faith, and I thought that was really sweet.
That was so sweet. And you could tell just how attached Lily has become to Faith and vice versa. But it's just really, really cute. And I almost wish we had gotten to see more of them together in the infirmary, kind of, you know, what that would look like for Faith on an average day.
Yes.
But I love their relationship. I think it's one of the best things that's come out of season 11. And I liked that they got more time together in this episode.
Yeah, me too. And I love what Joseph said. Cherish the day, it's God's gift. And cherish the day also reminds me of the season 10 theme of seize the day.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. I didn't think about it at first until I saw someone else point it out. Like, it completely just didn't even cross my mind. But
that's a great catch right there. I didn't think of that either. Yeah.
A little bit later, we get the scene at the soda fountain / pharmacy, and they're getting ice cream and talking about Dora with May and then Ned, who comes in, and Faith whispers something to Lily's stuffed dog, I think, and his name is Rufus, and Faith says, I told Rufus to remind you every day how much I love you.
Oh, so cute.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Opal and Brownie a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that little relationship that she has with this stuffed animal, but you know, she's sharing kind of her emotions of what she's feeling. It's really sweet.
I'll never forget the early seasons with Opal and Brownie. The episode when she had the tea party outside the schoolhouse.
Yes, that was so cute.
Yes. Was that the one when Robert fooled her about the bear? I think it was.
Yep. Yeah. That was the one.
And then she ran back to get Brownie. She's like, Brownie!
Yes.
And then he ran back inside the school.
Yes.
Oh,
Good
that was one of
times.
my favorite episodes of season 4.
Yes. 4 had some really great storylines with the kids, and I loved
Yes,
that.
I agree. This scene got me at the cafe with Dora when she comes back, of course, and
Mhm.
they're saying their goodbyes, and Lily doesn't want to go. Her
Yeah.
face just broke my heart.
Yes. The whole scene was incredible.
Yeah.
And the actress Chloe, who plays Lily, was
Yes.
so good in that scene. I have 2 nieces, and when they cry, they look exactly the way Lily looked in this scene, and it was
Oh,
like, "Oh, so sweet," but so
yes.
sad at the same time.
Yes. And Dora says to Faith that she reminds her a lot of her daughter, and
Mhm.
then mentions how, her heart isn't what it used to be and she doesn't have as much energy as she used to have. So she asks Faith if Lily can stay. And of course, Faith agrees. We called that.
Yes. Yes, yes, we did. Another check mark.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I was hoping they would do this because my
Yeah.
worry was that we would be stuck with, "Oh, Lily might visit once in a while."
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that's where we were gonna go, and I was like, "That's just
Yeah.
not gonna be enough for Faith."
No.
And so I'm glad that, Lily's grandmother
Mm-hmm.
was, thinking about the future, and I think she realized that
Yeah.
Lily is very happy
Yes.
here with Faith,
Yeah.
so I think that was a nice story
Yes,
development.
it was. And I love at the end of that scene when Lily says, "No offense, but grandma cooks way better than you."
That was really cute. Yeah, I loved that.
Yes. I have to say, grandmas do have some of the best cooking.
They do. That is
Yes.
true. And
Yeah.
plus we know from Faith's past
Yes.
that she is not good at cooking. She said it multiple times. I think it
No.
was in one of the Christmas movies. She
Mhm.
basically tells Rosemary or Abigail that she can't cook. And
Yeah.
then when she had that, ambush dinner
Mhm.
party with she, Carson,
Mhm.
Lee, and Rosemary,
Yeah.
she basically said, "I warm up a can of beans for myself at night. I can't cook."
Yes. Yeah.
And so we know this about Faith. She can't cook,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it's nice to know that Lily's grandmother can. I think
Yes,
that's
it
sweet.
is. And someone else who is learning how to cook is May. And just really briefly, I just got to mention the scene with the two of them and Maisie at the beginning
Mhm.
when she comes in, and at first she's talking about the resort and surge in crime because of Montague's attack. And then she goes on saying how she's been talking to her and Mike's mom about May. And then they get into the cooking thing, and Maisie's like, "How about tomorrow, 7:30? Okay, bye."
Maisie is totally just a go-getter, just a type A, just yeah. She's so funny.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And then they have that scene in the evening, just Mike and May, when they're talking about the family dinner, what to cook, and their siblings. I thought that was a nice moment between
Mhm.
them.
I did too. Yeah, I thought that was really sweet for sure.
Yes. Also, Maisie called and is bringing his other sisters as well as their mom.
Mhm. Which I will say, Mike probably should have warned, May
Yeah.
a little bit sooner, but,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. And then we get the family dinner, May meeting Mike's mom, and then the I love yous and the kiss. Now, I'm not going to lie, the second part of the dinner scene was a little awkward, but I still do love Mike and May.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, it felt a little bit rushed. I
Mhm.
think, it's I don't know, I love yous are so special,
Mhm.
especially on this show, and to have it kinda done in, like, a very like quick like little moment at the dinner
Mhm.
table with a bunch of people there to watch.
Mhm.
It didn't really feel super special for them, I guess.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I guess it works for them. That's
Mhm.
fine. I didn't have a huge problem with it. I just, you know, it felt a little bit rushed for me.
Yeah.
A little bit not as special as it could have been.
Yeah. I felt like it maybe took away from the rest of the episode just a little bit.
Yeah, I think they should have done this storyline with Hickam and May making dinner for their family. I think they should have done it sooner in the season
Yeah.
because right now we got some really big things happening, and Hickam and May making dinner for Hickam's family is like lower tier on the priority
Mhm.
list. There's a lot of other big things going on.
Yeah.
So I think it should have happened in an earlier
Mhm.
episode, especially one of the episodes that maybe
Mhm.
there wasn't a whole lot happening, like the music festival
Mhm.
episodes. Not a lot happening in those episodes. That's when you put in storylines like May making dinner for Hickham's
Yeah.
family, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against them as a couple
Oh yeah,
and
no, for sure.
individually. I
Yeah.
just felt like it took away from the rest of the episode that was so heavy on other things,
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
like the resort and the investigation. And we finally figured out who shot Lucas. Thank you.
Yes. I will say I'm a little disappointed that it's not someone that we knew beforehand. We may have heard him mentioned once this season.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. They did set that up a while ago.
Yes.
But I was hoping it would be someone that we actually knew and
Mhm.
maybe there were a few more clues. But
Mhm.
right now, all we know is that Shaw, Kashmir Shaw, who is a gangster,
Mhm.
is the one who did it, and he did it because he wants to run rum through the territory. But we didn't see any of his like, gang members or henchmen or anything
Yeah.
like that. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get a little bit more of that in the next
Yeah.
episode. But so far, he doesn't feel very threatening because we only see one person. Like, I don't know. I want to see more than one person being involved
Yeah.
in this.
When that wanted poster was shown in a previous episode, I had a thought that it could have been him, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I guess I
Yeah.
kind of get a check, maybe
Maybe, I mean,
half a check.
I I noticed it when they mentioned him, but I
Yeah.
didn't think it was gonna be him just because I was so sure it was gonna be someone that we
Yeah.
actually knew,
Hmm.
and not just had been mentioned, like someone that we
Yeah.
actually remembered from the past. Because a lot
Yeah.
of cast members had alluded to that.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes, obviously,
Yeah.
but for me as a reveal, I would have preferred someone we knew, but also for Rosemary and Bill to
Yeah.
be kind of the ones to figure that out because right now they don't even know that he's the one who did it. And they're the ones who have been investigating all this
Yeah.
time. So I would have liked for them to be a little bit more involved in that, you know,
Yeah.
that reveal, I would
Yeah.
say.
I did feel more like it was going to be someone from the past. But
Mhm.
with the Mountie action coming up, I'm not surprised that it's Casimir Shaw.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm
At the
not
same
mad
time.
about it by any means.
No,
I
no.
I literally I'm excited
Yeah.
actually, like maybe too excited for this to happen.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred for I was hoping for Amos Dixon. That's who I
Yeah,
was
that's
hoping
who I
for.
was hoping for too.
Yeah. And not because I wanted to be right. It was more like
No.
this would be a great story.
Mhm.
And who
Yes.
knows? He may show up in the next episode. We never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hoping for something a little more
Yes.
significant to Lucas's past.
Yes.
Like it would make more sense for him to be shot by someone who
Mhm.
had a personal vendetta against him versus someone who just wanted to
Mhm.
intimidate the governor,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get to Lucas and Janette's scenes. But just really briefly, I wanted to mention the scene with Lee and Rosemary at home talking about Montague. And I love this scene because of the comfort that Lee is trying to give her over the guilt
Mhm.
about the attack.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely liked it, and I appreciated where Lee was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, he did in that scene, he said, "If anyone's to blame, it's Lucas."
Mm-hmm.
But I disagree a little bit with that because I
Yeah.
do think Rosemary is a little bit to blame as well. Not completely, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't just lay the blame on Lucas.
Yeah. That's true.
Lucas is
Yeah.
not the one who was,
Yeah.
getting him attacked.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that, Lee is, he's a public official.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be a little more supportive of the governor
Mm-hmm.
who he's working with, I would
Yeah.
say. So in terms of that, I would say maybe he could have done a little bit better, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate the comfort that he was giving Rosemary. And I'm kind of glad Rosemary took a step back and was like, okay,
Yeah.
this involves life and death. We've had
Mm-hmm.
my articles blow up and make people really angry,
Mm-hmm.
but no one's ever gotten hurt. Now
Yeah.
someone got really hurt, almost
Mm-hmm.
died, and that's really serious.
Mm-hmm. Lucas and Henry's talk. Now, this was short, but it was very good. And I think it spoke volumes about Lucas and how he feels.
Mhm.
Of course, he tells Henry that Janette is on her way because, as Janette says when she gets there, she's all he's got left on this resort. And Lucas says, she wasn't just beautiful, she existed on a plane above everyone else. I wanted that too. And then Henry says, everything comes at a price.
Mhm. I I love this little statement by Lucas because
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not applicable now, hearsay, it gives us kind of a little glimpse into who he was before Hope
Mm-hmm.
Valley, but
Yeah.
also why he was attracted to Janette initially. And Janette is she's very aloof,
And
very like, very kind of a little bit of a pick me girl, but
mm-hmm.
she's very like, you know, very proper, very
Mm-hmm.
above everybody else. And
Yeah.
she's got that mysterious like element to her.
Yeah.
It's something that I think he was attracted to. I don't know if it was that she was better than him. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was more that she intrigued him.
Mm-hmm.
She was an interesting person.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that, we see in season 6, he's having this talk with Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Allie comes into the saloon. She's like, "Oh, adults are so much more interesting." And he's like, "I wish I could agree." So I think Lucas maybe didn't feel as interested in the
Mm-hmm.
people around him, but Janette really kind of caught his fancy in that way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that little bit of, Lucas saying that
Yeah.
because it makes me think perhaps maybe down the road they might be able to rekindle something,
Mm-hmm.
like very
Yeah.
far down the road, but
Yeah.
perhaps they might be able to rekindle something. And I would be very open to
Yeah.
that
Me too.
because I think Hope Valley could work its magic on Janette.
I think so too. And I have seen a couple of comments from some people about how maybe that's one reason why he was attracted to Elizabeth too. Like he always put her on a pedestal, as Rosemary said.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible. I almost
Yeah.
feel like Elizabeth, personality-wise, was
Mm-hmm.
almost like the antithesis of Janette in that
Yeah.
she's very
Not the
yeah,
same
no,
person. Yeah.
yeah, totally not the same person, but Lucas did have the same reaction where,
Yes, that's what I was trying to
it's
say.
like, yeah, so but it is interesting because Elizabeth is very She's very sweet, very down to
Mhm.
earth, very like small town, uh, you know, homey.
Likes her feet on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
Very
sweet.
like
Yeah.
connected to everyday
Mhm.
life versus maybe the higher living.
Yeah.
And I think that is what attracted Lucas to her
Mhm.
because initially he was dating Janette, who,
Yeah.
was more of that aloof, mysterious type. And
Yeah.
Elizabeth is not that at all.
No.
She's not mysterious. But,
Mhm.
I think there's a part of Lucas that is always going to care about Janette. And we'll
Mhm.
get more into that
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
But I think there's just this thing that he has with Janette that,
Mhm.
it's something we never saw with Elizabeth. And maybe
Yeah.
it's just because we never got a chance to see it. But
Mhm.
there's this thing with Janette that he has
Yes.
that's very
Yeah.
interesting. And I'm going to talk about it in a
Yes.
minute when we get a
Yeah.
little further down the
Yeah.
line.
Just really briefly, I needed to mention this scene with Lee and Lucas. And this is when Lee tells him that he and Maisie are pulling out of their support of the resort. And Lucas calls him small-minded. Lucas!
Yeah, this was not Lucas's finest moment, but I will say Lucas is very stressed out right
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
so I get it. I do. This was the first scene with Lee as mayor and Lee this season where I was like, yes, go
Mhm.
Lee, because I've been rooting for
Yeah.
Maisie this whole time. Just saying. I think Maisie's right in that the
Yeah.
resort is a bad idea. And Lee, I appreciate that he was able to admit to her that he was
Mhm.
wrong and he wanted to join forces with her. And he just went right in there, told
Mhm.
Lucas, and that's not an easy thing to do. He did it in a very respectful way. He
Yeah.
didn't go
He
behind
did.
Lucas's back and, you know, write
Mhm.
an article about himself pulling out. He
Mhm.
he actually went to Lucas, said, "Here's
Mhm.
the deal. I'm done with this. This is not working.
Yeah.
People are in danger. My town comes first, basically."
Mhm. Yeah.
And I appreciated that. So props to Lee.
Yeah. Mhm.
Priorities.
Yes. And someone who doesn't have priorities is Edwin. What is the circulation of this rag?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Edwin. Edwin is all about Edwin. That's all I can say. Edwin is all about Edwin. I don't even think he's connected. I don't think he's a villain or anything. He's
No.
just he's just an
No.
opportunist who's all about Edwin.
Yes, I agree. And that flashback after that, when Lucas goes in his
Mhm.
office and rips up the paper, that was incredibly done.
Oh yeah. The whole like any flashback in this episode was
Yeah.
really well done, but particularly the last one.
Mhm.
Um, we had about 3 flashbacks in this episode.
Yes, it was
The
3.
last one was
The one.
amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was great.
Yes, and that is the one when Janette walks back in his office and he confronts her
Mhm.
about being at the shooting. I think we kinda called this.
Yes, the one thing I got wrong was that I thought Lucas remembered that Janette was there, and that's
Mhm.
why he wasn't telling people what was happening in the
Yeah, that we
beginning.
got wrong.
I think that was wrong. But she was there, which makes sense why she's back on the scene.
Yeah.
And I think what I was saying earlier, I think it's so interesting that Lucas was shot defending her.
Mhm.
And if you watch the scene very closely, it is very similar to what happened in the hostage
Yeah.
situation with Elizabeth because Lucas is a very reactive, very like, he reacts very quickly. He's
Mhm.
impulsive in those situations. And in this situation, instead of like kind of like, trying to smooth things over, he just immediately like acts, tries to grab the gun, and that's kind of what he did during the hostage situation in season
Yeah.
6. So I think Lucas obviously is a little bit impulsive, which,
Mm-hmm.
he's not a trained Mountie. Of course, he's not
No.
going to handle it like a trained Mountie. But what's interesting, he is always there to save Janette.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he's in a relationship with her or not, he's always there to like rescue her
Yeah.
and save her. And that's something we never really saw with Elizabeth. We never really got a
No.
chance to see Lucas saving Elizabeth here, say.
No.
And we've seen it multiple times
Mm.
with Janette. So
Yeah.
I think there's, even though Lucas is like pushing Janette away, I do think there's a part of him that
Mm-hmm.
does care about her.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that bomb drop by
Mhm.
Janette. Shaw forced her to take him to Lucas. She didn't want to involve Lucas, but when Shaw found out about their personal connection, he threatened to kill her if she didn't help pressure him to let him run through the territory. The publicity scared Shaw off, but when the request about the resort was made, he got interested as a way to launder money,
Mm.
which means
Yeah.
he's behind her bid and he had Montague eliminated to beat the competition.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Jeanette mentions that he has to cooperate with Shaw or there will be consequences, aka they're both pretty much dead.
Mhm. Yeah. And I appreciated it. She may come off as like, oh, in it for
Mm-hmm.
herself, kind of in the same way that Edwin is.
Yeah.
But the difference is that Edwin is just doing it to do it,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Jeanette is doing it. She has a gun to her head.
Yeah.
She literally she includes him in that statement.
Yeah.
She's like, we're both as good as dead. And she doesn't want that to happen to him.
Yeah.
I think if she didn't care about him, she wouldn't be so involved.
Mhm.
And I think, I think that there's still this connection between them that they haven't really talked
Mhm.
about or had closure on, and I think maybe that might come in the next episode. I'm not
Maybe.
really sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, that is a big bomb to drop.
Mhm.
That, yes, my investors are not legit. It's literally a
The most
wanted criminal.
wanted criminal.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, who was Henry looking into? Like, who was Henry looking into that he's like, "Oh, this is legit." Like, who?
Yeah. Question. Do you trust Jeanette or do you think there's something she's still hiding?
I trust Janette in that I don't think she's hiding anything else, but I don't trust her in that I know she's in a desperate situation, and a lot
Mhm.
of times desperate people do really like desperate things. So
Yeah.
I think she's in it for herself at this point, especially since Lucas kind of kicked her to the curb at the end. I think she's in it for herself at this point for various reasons.
Mm.
But in that aspect I wouldn't trust her, but in telling everything that is true about the situation, I do trust her.
Yeah.
I think she's being transparent about it.
Yeah. I've just seen a couple comments where people say maybe she's still not so innocent. That's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah.
But
I definitely don't think she's completely innocent,
yeah,
but
like you said, desperate.
I yeah. I there's a show I watch where there's a character, he's a lawyer, and he gets basically held at gunpoint to work
Mhm.
for a very prominent crime lord.
Mhm.
And even though he's held there against his will
Yeah.
initially, he quickly becomes part of the machine and
Mhm.
is an active participant in that machine,
Yeah.
despite initially being brought there against his will. So it could be a similar situation with Jeanette,
Maybe.
where
Yeah.
maybe she's initially brought there against her will, but she can also get something out of it. Mainly, she thinks maybe she can rekindle something with Lucas or something like that.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's possible. And
Yeah.
really briefly, I just wanted to mention this scene solely for the fact that I love how Lucas apologized to Rosemary
Mhm.
about
Yes.
everything that happened in the previous episode. And he says, it's at times like these when you realize who your true friends are.
Mhm. I appreciated that as well because
Yeah.
we both kind of mentioned this when the episode was airing that
Mhm.
we thought he kind of overreacted to
Just a little
things.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if I thought he was somewhat justified, I do think he
Mhm.
overreacted and I think an apology was needed. So I appreciated
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Um I think Rosemary might have needed that as well
Mhm.
because I think she was feeling pretty bad about
Yes.
everything.
I think she was too.
So
Yeah.
I think it was the right move for sure.
Yes. I think so too. And the last scene of the episode, Lucas and Janette, when he takes her to the edge of town and says goodbye.
Can I just say that last shot of the episode was chef's kiss. It was
That was
amazing
really
because
good.
it's like, you know, in that moment that it's the climax. We're entering the climax now because Lucas is walking towards his town. And that's what you know when he's walking. He's like, this is my town and I'm going to like defend it. And it's like, you see him walking back and we've never
With the
seen that
lights.
angle. Yeah, you see all the lights and everything. We've never seen that angle filmed before from that
No.
road at night. And it was just such an incredible shot. So I had to throw that out there because it was
Yes.
so good.
That was great. Of course,
Mhm.
he tells her about the cancellation of the resort, and she's not happy, and says again that, it's not good to not follow Shaw's rules, so to speak.
Mhm.
But, he asks her to leave and mentions that she'll be arrested for being an accomplice if she doesn't.
Mhm. Yeah. Which, I mean, he means business at that point. So, you
Yeah.
know he's not fooling around.
Yes. And then she says that she agreed to front the resort because she was looking out for him like she always does, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting comment given what I literally said 2 seconds ago, which is, "Oh, Lucas is always looking out for her."
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Jeanette's the one who looks out for Lucas. I'm sorry, but no, you don't.
No.
Sorry,
Nope.
Jeanette, that's just nope.
No.
Not true.
Yeah. And we know she'll be back this week.
Mhm. And I know they didn't really show this in any of the previews, but I do think she's gonna be one of the women who gets held hostage as well. I
Yeah.
do think she's
I think
gonna be
she is.
somehow involved in that, yeah. I think Rosemary and Elizabeth are gonna try and be fairly calm about the situation, and I think Jeanette is gonna be the one who maybe is a little more vulnerable and
Mhm.
might be freaking out a little bit more, which makes sense because she's probably the one in the most danger.
Probably.
Although
Yeah.
Rosemary is too, I would say.
Yeah. Moving on to Nathan, Elizabeth, Allie, and Jack. It was too short, but I did love Elizabeth journaling and seeing Nathan teach Jack how to ride. Thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, that was really cute,
Yes.
and, you appreciate seeing Nathan and Jack having fun
Yeah.
together, and, Elizabeth kind of acknowledging that Nathan is going through a hard time,
Yes.
which, I appreciate because a lot of times it can be her journal entries can be very focused on the hard time that she's going on, or
Mhm.
in the past, we've seen her talk about the hard time Lucas was going through, or the hard time maybe her friendships are going through. But it
Yeah.
was nice to see her talking about maybe a little bit what Nathan was going through, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
kind of a different spin on it, and I appreciated that.
Yes, me too. She says, there's no denying it. My little boy is growing up with help from two very special people in our lives, Nathan and Bill. are taking turns teaching Jack how to ride. As much as I miss rocking him in my arms when he was tiny, I feel excited as every day he takes another step toward becoming who he's meant to be. But I know there will be growing pains too. As I've watched Nathan struggle with how to tell Allie the truth about her birth father, I've seen how, as much as it pains us, sometimes we have to let our children hurt to help them grow. As for Nathan and me, Allie needs him right now, which I completely understand. So for now, all I can do is be here for both of them.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. I
Yes.
will say I do have some mixed feelings about the whole Nathan and Allie struggle. And Elizabeth kind of touches on it a little bit in her journal entry
Mm-hmm.
here, where she says basically she and Nathan's relationship is on hold because of this situation.
Yeah.
And I I'm in the boat of thinking that things have been moving a little bit too slow this season. And I would have liked maybe a little bit more before the last two episodes. So I love the storyline for
Mm-hmm.
Nathan and Allie and Allie's father. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's tough because it's just another thing that's going to put off Nathan and Elizabeth sharing, and growing in their relationship until the next, like, the last two episodes. So it's hard in that sense to kind of wait it out and wait for the romance, which is probably something we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a beautiful storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not mad about that.
Yeah. I think it's
I wish
coming.
there was a little bit more romance
I
at
think
this
it
point.
I think it's coming this week.
Yeah, it better be coming.
Yes. But I do love how in the journal entry she says our children. I thought that was very telling.
For sure. Yes, she's already thinking in terms of
Yes.
sharing a life with the two
Yes.
of them, which is
Yes,
nice.
she is. Yeah. And just really briefly, I love when she says, not too fast. And Jack's like, we got this, Mom. And Nathan's like, yeah, we got this.
That's me talking to the writers right now. You're like, we got this. We can
Yes.
handle a little faster.
But really cute. Yeah.
hmm
Nathan and Elizabeth at school. Carrying the box of notebooks equals the notebook.
Yes.
Yep. And I love the slight teasing, of course, when he says, so now I'm being the overprotective one. I didn't say that. Well, and then he helps her open the window and the romantic tension. I can feel it. And the almost kiss when the kids come in. And Opal's face was the best one out of all of them.
I need to go back and rewatch. I forget what Opal's face
She
was.
was like, okay. Yeah, I loved
I
that
love
scene.
I love Nathan's reaction. He just, like, slams the window shut.
It just falls. He's holding it up and then he pulls his
Oh,
hand
I
away.
see. Okay, I thought he, like, slammed it shut.
No, it just falls because he's literally holding it up
That's
and it just
hilarious.
falls. And then a little bit later on, Nathan comes back looking for Allie. And of course, they find out from Angela, who was hesitant to tell them because she made a promise to Allie that she went to the train station to go to Granville Prison. And I love how Elizabeth doesn't bat an eye. She drops everything to go with him.
Mhm. Yes, yes, and I love how he didn't even have to ask. She's just, like, bolting out the door with him.
Yes. And we find out from Nathan when he got the call that Dylan was refusing to see her.
Mhm.
What kind of a man? Like Elizabeth says.
Mhm. Well, we all knew this about Dylan,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the episode is when they're at the train station and she's giving him support and comfort. about Allie. And she takes his hand and says, "Don't worry, she's smart and resourceful, and she's going to be okay." It was really sweet.
That was a sweet moment for sure.
Yes. And I just love how much she's there for him in this
Yeah,
episode.
it's nice to see that
Yeah.
because we haven't seen that well, we've seen it in the past, but
Hmm.
never like this level. Like
No.
she's
Yeah.
literally going out of town on a train station, like
Yes.
on a wild goose chase with him. So,
Yes. Also, I thought it was interesting in the best way that last season, when she went to the train station with Lucas, she didn't come back with Lucas.
that's true. Yeah,
But
that
this
is
season,
true.
she went to the train station with Nathan and came back with Nathan.
Mhm. That's a good point. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. I also want to know, what did they do for 2 hours and the time on the train?
I mean, my guess, based off of how worked up Nathan was by the time they got to the prison, he was probably just getting increasingly more stressed
Mm-hmm.
out. And I
Yeah.
think Elizabeth was probably trying to just keep him calm in
Yeah,
that
that's what
moment.
I think too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably still holding hands at least part of the time too, would be my
For
guess.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how about we just talk about that scene when they get to Granville Prison? Uh, I can't hold back tears every time I watch it. I can't.
Oh, yeah. Such a good scene. Like, Jada and Kevin killed it in that scene. That
Hmm.
was especially Jada. Like,
Yes.
there were actual tears running down her face, and it's such a good scene. I don't think
Yeah.
we've ever seen Nathan that emotional either.
I don't think
Like,
so.
that's probably the most emotional we've ever seen him.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
love how Elizabeth is standing by, of course, in silent
Mhm.
support. And
Yeah.
that last shot of the scene when they're arm in arm was one of the best shots of the episode.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. We get to talk with Elizabeth and Rosemary. This was another favorite scene when they discuss how things went in Granville. Of course, Elizabeth mentions how heartbreaking it was, and then she says, "I really care about Allie." Elizabeth, "That's not what I meant, and you know it. Nathan needs you just as much as Allie, perhaps even more. I need him too."
I'm glad she finally admitted it because when she said, "I care about Allie," I was like, "Come on, girl. We know who you care about." And then
Yes.
when she said that, I was like, "Okay, yes."
Yes. And then the stars were right after all. I hope so. Of course they're right.
Of course they are.
Yes. Yes. This scene was my favorite of the episode. I'm sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Nathan and Allie at breakfast.
Yes. That was a great scene because I
Yeah.
feel like this one it's been kind of years in the making. Like,
Mhm.
Allie and Nathan's relationship has been steadily growing, and of course they've obviously hit some bumps in the road, but this was like a
Mhm.
really big step for them because he really opened up about how important
Mhm.
she is in his life. He's told
Yeah.
her before, but this was like the real, moment where he's really opening up about
Mhm.
everything that he's feeling, and I appreciated that.
Yes. I love how, just like Elizabeth asked Allie in episode 9, he said, "Do you want to talk about it?" When she first
Mhm.
comes downstairs. And then they go into the whole conversation, and this is when I lost it and started crying. I didn't know Dylan that well, but he's a fool, throwing away his chance at being your dad, because his loss is my gain. Because I don't want to imagine what my life would be like without you in it. Watching you grow up has been the greatest joy of my life. I'm so proud of how smart and thoughtful and fearless you are. And you get all of that from your mother. That sounds a lot like my dad. I'm I'm about to cry just thinking.
Yeah, it's such a good scene. It's a really good scene. I think it's really good, and just seeing Nathan that emotional talking about it, and Allie is emotional as well, but he's comforting her in the best way of letting her know that she is valuable to him,
Mhm.
and she isn't defined by whether her birth father
Mhm.
wants her or not. He's telling her how much he's gained in life just by being
Yes.
able to raise her himself.
Yes. And he says at the end of that scene, forever, as he takes her
Mhm.
hand.
Yes.
Those two,
Mhm.
one of the best father-daughter duos on TV.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I think they're in my top two next to Shane and Papa Joe on Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Mhm. You know, it's funny, their scenes this week remind me a lot of some of the scenes that probably would have happened between Pa Ingalls and
Yeah.
Laura in Little House on the
Yes.
Prairie, because
And
there's a lot of emotions in that show, especially between Pa and Laura. So I
yeah.
think I could see some of that in Jada and Kevin's performance, was some of
Yes.
that emotion between father
Yes.
and daughter, and I
Yeah.
loved that.
And speaking of that, he was wearing his Pa Ingalls shirt again.
He was, which is kind of what reminded me of that.
I think one of my favorite, just getting off track for just a second, scenes with Pa and Laura was in the first season, I believe, when she goes up to the mountain after the miscarriage, I think, of her sibling, or the baby had just been born, but then the baby dies. Her brother that she didn't want born, and then she is feeling
Mhm.
all guilty. And Pa and Mr. Edwards have to go look for her. And at the end of the part two episode, they have that emotional reunion.
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that for
Yeah.
sure.
I think the episode is called The Lord is My Shepherd, if I'm correct on that. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of the best episodes of the series.
Mhm.
But anyway, going back to Hope Valley, Nathan and Elizabeth's talk in town, and I thought this was a really cute scene. Allie's doing better, and Nathan thanks Elizabeth for being there for them. And she says, I care about Allie, and I care about you. Allie needs me right
Mhm.
now. I know, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. She needs you too. And I'm here for the both of you. She might as well have just said, I love you.
Yeah, she might as well have. I mean, I love this little moment because he's basically signaling to her like, I'm just I'm sorry, I'm not really gonna be able
Mhm.
to be available right now. Like,
Yeah.
very much couple vibes going on here, because
Mhm.
couples
Yes.
in moments where like this, where they can't be together,
Yeah.
they will communicate that
Mhm.
to their partner. And you can kind of see that he's communicating to her. He's like, my kid needs me right now. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, our relationship is on hold. And she's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm not going anywhere,
Mhm.
which might also be a little bit of foreshadowing for that hostage situation, because
Yeah.
maybe he might come face to face with the fact that maybe not she might be in danger of
Mhm.
he might be in danger of losing her, and
Mhm.
not to somebody else, but to outside forces. So I
Yeah.
think that might be a little bit of foreshadowing there. We'll see, but I do think that the whole alley thing has kind of taken up a lot of his
Mhm.
time, and so he's probably going to try and get back on track in the next
Mhm.
episode, is
Yes.
what would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we know that Elizabeth is going to be okay in the end, but yes, I do
Yeah,
agree.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not going anywhere. Aaron is not leaving the show.
I know there's rumors out there, but Chill out, guys. She's not going anywhere.
There's no need to worry. Erin has stated that she wants to be a part of this show for as long as it goes. So
Mm-hmm.
she's not leaving.
Right. Exactly.
And we know she's in the finale, and we know she's in season 12 because she said so in her interviews today with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't even worry.
Yeah.
No one needs to worry. It's all
Yes.
good.
Yes. And I love how this scene ends when Nathan invites her and Jack to join him and Allie for dinner. And she's like, "What can I bring?" Dinner.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Nathan doesn't cook very well, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Even my dad laughed at that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That was
Yep.
pretty funny.
And then, of course, she suggests them just joining her and Jack at their house.
Mm-hmm.
And that they do. And the family dinner was so cute. I just wish it was longer.
Yeah, I know. That was yeah, I definitely wish it was a little bit
Yeah.
longer than it was.
The
It
banana
was very
bread.
sweet though. Yeah.
We got the banana bread again,
Yes, we did. Yes.
which I loved. And I can't wait for more family dinners in the future. It just felt
Mhm.
so natural for them.
Mhm. Yes, it definitely did. Yes, it was very, very sweet.
Yes. Like they were always meant to be, which they are. And
Mhm.
I think we'll see a lot more of that in season 12.
Yes, yes, I definitely hope so.
Yes, I think we will.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I think that pretty much covers episode 10. Episode 11, I think I am really excited to see this one.
That's the one I've been waiting all year for. I remember reading the episode synopses for all of the episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the one I was like, that one's gonna be good. And the more we hear about it, the more excited I am. So we've
Yes.
got all of the men of Hope Valley coming together to rescue the women who are in a hostage
Yeah.
situation. Personally, for me, I there are 3 things that need to make a really good episode for me in any given TV show. 1, the community comes together, and it's a big thing. That's one thing that makes a good
Mm-hmm.
episode. 2, if there's a hostage situation, I don't know what it is, but every time there's a hostage episode in a TV show, that's
Yeah.
always, like, my go-to. I'm always like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, that one's gonna be good." And then number 3, big romantic moments, which we
Yeah.
know is gonna happen in this episode.
Yes.
So
According to Kevin, who in one of the interviews today, I can't remember which one. I think it was the one from Fox Atlanta when he said Sunday is going to blow the roof off.
mhm, yes. So, let's bring it on. This
And
episode has all of the makings of being really good, so I'm very excited.
I don't think he was just talking about the mounting action.
Definitely not, no. But that obviously is gonna be a nice plus too, because we
Yes.
haven't seen any mounting action this season, so
Yeah.
let's bring it. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
I think he's mainly talking about the romance with
Mhm.
Nathan and
Yes.
Elizabeth.
I'm very ready for the romance. I am excited to see Lee actually using a gun for the
Yeah.
first time. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where the whole Janette Lucas thing ends up
Yeah.
because I know they are going to hug at some point in
Hmm.
the episode, and Janette looks very upset. I think he's going to
Yeah.
rescue her again, which you never know where it might go from there.
That's probably at the end of the hostage situation, is
Yeah,
my
that would be
guess.
my guess. And then obviously the scene in the hay bale,
Hey!
obviously.
Hey,
Yes.
Vale!
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That scene I'm very excited for. So
Yes.
hopefully my hope for this episode is that the hostage situation lasts for a good portion of the episode. I don't want it to be like within like one commercial break. I want it to be like a good chunk
Mhm.
of the episode. I would love to see it play out kind of. And I think
It's
that
probably going to last, my guess, at least 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. So the first half of the
yeah.
episode.
Yeah, I would say so too,
I don't think
because
it'll
we know
be.
it starts in the day and I think it finishes at night. So I think it's gonna be a good chunk, and I'm very excited for that
Yeah.
because everyone knows I love a good community crisis storyline. They're
Yeah.
just the best,
Yeah.
especially on When Calls the Heart.
Yeah.
So I'm very
I
excited.
don't think it'll last more than half of the episode.
Yeah.
And we get the scene with Nathan and Elizabeth in front of her house. Now, I think this is going to be the first kiss scene. I got that right on the porch, just not the episode.
Yeah. What did you say? I'm trying to remember
It
which
was this
episode you said.
past episode.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to
Um,
be on the porch this past week.
gotcha. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I said episode 11 for first kiss. So just
You
saying.
got that.
Maybe. We don't even know yet. It could be episode 12. We never
No,
know.
there's no way. There's no way.
I
I
hope. I hope not.
I just don't see it. There's no way.
Yeah. I don't want to claim my check mark until we know for sure. But
I know what you mean, but
either way, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
see them waiting until episode 12.
yeah, I think that would be kind of ridiculous if they had to wait that
Especially
long.
based on Kevin's blow the roof off comment.
Yeah, like we're not gonna blow the roof off with holding hands or an almost kiss. That's not gonna blow the roof off. We've already seen that. We need a kiss and a
I
really
think
good
there will
kiss.
be. And I also think that that is the kiss because she is wearing the exact same shirt that she did in season 8, episode 2, and he is wearing a very similar shirt.
Mhm. I think
And they look
I
very
want to
emotional
say
too.
yeah, they look very emotional, which tells me I think something's gonna happen in the beginning of the episode where they're gonna try and have a conversation, get interrupted, or he's gonna try and share his feelings with her somehow, and they're gonna get interrupted, and then before he can finish that, the hostage situation is gonna go on,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
then he's gonna once it's over, he's gonna get really emotional, she's gonna get
Mm-hmm.
emotional, and that's when they share with each other how they're feeling.
Yes.
Personally, I think that could be the first kiss, but I also think it could be in the hay as well,
It
possibly.
could.
Yeah. The hay could be an additional thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We shall see.
Yeah. I do still think that there is going to be a kiss in front of
Yes,
her
yes.
porch.
I'm fairly certain there's gonna be a kiss at some point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think how it's going to go down, pretty much everything that we've seen in the preview clips and press photos, except for the porch scene and the green outfit with Elizabeth. I think that's all day one.
Mhm. Definitely could be for sure. Yeah.
And I think the scene in front of her house and porch is either late after the hostage situation or it's the next day. And then the green is the day after that, like the morning after that kiss. Because
Mhm.
their facial expressions when she opens the door, it feels to me like everything has changed between them. In the good way, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah. Definitely could be.
Yeah. But I think it'll be a great episode and I'm so excited.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
Very, very excited.
Yes, especially after all those interviews today with Kevin and Aaron.
Yes, they made me even more excited than I already was, which was pretty excited to begin with. So,
Yes. And, we have Kevin saying, we'll see Nathan and Elizabeth like we've never seen them before. He said in one of them, I just posted it on my Instagram for the podcast earlier. It's Nathan and Elizabeth's season and it's building to a strong romance. So those are just some highlights of some comments.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they did share a lot of nice little
Yes, they did.
juicy comments
Yeah.
in those interviews.
Yeah. There was also a clip posted today, a little while before we started recording, from US Weekly where they're talking about Nathan and Elizabeth being endgame and soulmates, which was, I think, one of my favorites.
Yes. I love
Yes.
that. They also talked about the cliffhanger right at the end, which I think is interesting as well. Yeah. I don't think it pertains to Nathan and Elizabeth.
I don't think so.
I think it pertains to Lucas. Or Rosemary and Lee, but either way, I'm excited to see what that might be as well.
Yes, me too. I think that wraps everything up. I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It'll be a great next 2 weeks for the show, I believe.
I'm very excited.
Yes, me too. All right, Hearties. Well, I think that wraps up our review of When Calls the Heart, Season 11, Episode 10. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share your thoughts about it and any predictions you may have for Episode 11 and 12 in the comments. If you want to stay up to date for our reviews for the remaining 2 episodes, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next week. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.